Have you ever seen a ghost? Do you believe in ghosts?
I've never seen a ghost. I believe that they do exist. I feel like there's so many things that we don't know or can't really explain, but I could see some troublemakers in the hereafter wanting to not cross over or have, some things done. So, I'm definitely open to the idea of it.
Well, I don't know if I 100% believe in ghosts in like the traditional sense, but I kind of believe more in like echoes.
Okay.
And so my experience was we had a dog that was our family dog for like 15 years. And after he died, we
Hmm.
were all sitting in the family room, no one else in the house, no other pets in the house, and we heard him come down the stairs.
Oh,
And we all of us turned like to look to see like are we gonna
yeah.
see him come in the room? And we didn't see anything. We just kind of all waited and then we all just looked at each other and we were like, okay, so I guess Zeke's here. Like
Oh.
so that is the one time that I can definitely say like something happened that the five of us could
Hmm.
not explain.
Gotcha.
Um,
Oh, yeah,
from
that's sweet. I mean, having a
right?
bunch of animals, in my life and saying goodbye, and I have, their memorials and their
Yes.
pictures still up, you know, I just always kind of feel that they're still with me, period. So, I know
Right?
that's a
I would not
different,
be sad about
connection. Yeah, no, I don't,
yes.
not at all. So, um,
That kind of ghost like I would be okay with.
but yeah, I don't,
I
I
don't know
would want
what
to
I
be in a
would do
house and
if
then
I saw a
oh yeah.
human ghost. Like I
Yeah,
honestly don't know what I would do with myself. I
because
think
no,
I
like
would be excited, but like I don't know.
now, like, you hear about the I'm huge Anglophile, so you hear about
Yes.
certain castles having their particular ghosts and that people have sworn that there are certain queens or
Yeah, like you can see Anne
people
Boleyn at
kill
the
yeah.
Tower of London and
Yeah.
like I
I
don't
was
know
there during the
though.
day, so I can't.
Right?
But
I just want
that
to see the ravens. I don't
that
really care if I see her.
there were plenty of ravens there. But that would be interesting. That kind of, historical, hey, can you tell me what, how it
Right?
really all went down, that kind of thing. But I would rather not cross a supernatural presence that has, vengeance and
Right.
I hate being scared. Ugh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you.
No, 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 no.
All right. Well, listeners, bearing that in mind, as you know, we have changed things up this season. And instead of discussing underrated classics, we are diving into hit films from 2001 and 2006 that are celebrating their 20th or 25th anniversaries this year. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. We are discussing the 2001 hit from Alejandro Amenabar, The Others. Welcome, everyone. I'm Amber Lewis,
I'm Angela Norris.
and this is a Film by Podcast. We are continuing Women's History Month by throwing the boys out of the studio for the day and continuing with our Nicole Kidman, Meryl Streep theme. We started with Meryl Streep's 2006 hit, The Devil Wears Prada, and continued with a contentious conversation about Nicole Kidman's 2001 film Moulin Rouge. And today, like I said, we're doing something completely different, and we're talking about The Others, starring Nicole Kidman and directed by Alejandro Amenabar. Now, Angela, this was your first time watching this, no?
Yes.
Okay. So it is possible 25 years on that people have not seen it. So if you're one of those people like Angela that's new to the fun, there will be spoilers in this conversation. So pause the movie or pause the podcast, go watch the movie, and then come back. Otherwise, don't say we didn't warn you. So let's begin by talking about our director. Angela, I've got three facts and a quote for you.
Okay.
Alejandro Amenabar is a well-known Spanish filmmaker, but this was his first English language film. Here are some like three things that you may not know about him. He was only 28 when he directed this film. This was his third film, and he not only wrote the screenplay and directed the film, he also composed the score, and he does this for all of his films. He would play or hum pieces of the score, that he was working on while filming to help kind of create the mood or, do like kind of a stinger if he needed to startle them or something like that, which I
Hmm.
think is really cool, to have
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
don't.
atmosphere.
Yeah, I'd have to look up how many director writers also do the soundtracks and with that I don't hear that trifecta that often. So,
Right?
but it would be interested to dive into that fact of how if what others are there.
Yes, for sure. He is an agnostic, but says if he had to believe in ghosts, he would believe in the kind of ghosts in this film. He says that in this case, they are a metaphor, an excuse to talk about other things like relationships, the dark side of family, the way children are taught, whether those things are correct or not. And ghosts are just the key to unlock those conversations. And then finally, he has admitted to being an asshole as a director for his first two movies because he didn't take actors seriously. He was focused on his shots. And now he thinks the actor is the best special effect and the most important thing in the movie. He works everything around their performance.
Well, I think many of us in our 20s
Right?
pro probably would have had a little bit more of that attitude, with certain things until you wisen up and kind of have more of an appreciation and understanding for things. So,
Yes. But like
I
how
mean, at
many
least he doesn't deny
directors,
it.
right? But how many directors like never learned that? How many of them like are still like,
Yes.
even Alfred Hitchcock famously said, actors are cattle. And
Yeah.
he was just about, you know, creating the mood and his shots and things like that. But I
It's
mean,
like,
to great
well,
effect. So,
right, but also who is going to perform these things,
exactly.
Mr. Hitchcock? So you do need to have at least some uh, you know, professional and reasonable amount of respect. I mean, these aren't
Yes.
you know, just randos, not who don't know
Yeah,
anything
like
what they're doing, but
trained
usually, but
ponies or something.
yeah, especially, I mean, while not all of them are professionally trained, a good chunk of them are or have had enough experience under their, belt. So, unless you're dealing with a bunch of newbies out the gate, I mean,
Right?
come
Put
on,
some
dude.
respect on their name.
And now you got to pick Nicole Kidman out of them, so
Right? I'm glad he learned that lesson before he worked with her.
yeah, and I know we had already done our podcast for Moulin Rouge, but
Right.
since we're on this up, she actually almost didn't do the role because of coming off of that bright and bubbly kind of thing, and she really didn't want to go to the dark place that was wound up being this movie.
Yeah, for sure. And then before we move on, here is a quote from him that kind of it fits with everything we just talked about. He said, "My movies are not movies of answers, but of questions." And I love when directors do that. I love it when they don't like not everything has to be spelled out. I can
Right.
think about it or argue about it afterwards or something. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this season Jeff has introduced a new I don't know, thing to torture me with for
This
sure.
one was a little. This one was a bit hard for me. Mine might be pretty lame, but I really did try to think, and my head still hurts.
Seriously, I torture over it every week.
Some are
Like,
easier than others, but this one was difficult for Yeah,
Like
in
I
just five
will,
words.
I'll tolerate it for this season, but next season I'm gonna petition hard that we move on to,
2027, no.
yeah, we're gonna move on to something else. But anyway, we're gonna do our 5 word synopsis. So we're going to try to give you an idea of what the film's about using only 5 words. So, Angela, what'd you come up with? Since we're both miserable.
Yeah, out of the handful that I've tried, I'm gonna go with this one. Dead family unaware they're dead.
Oh, you can't do that though, because it like
It does give it
it
away.
does
Okay,
the big
sorry.
reveal. It's
Isolated
good.
family in haunted manor. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh, that one's good. That one's good. Mine is William. Woman protects children from intruders.
See, now that's
That was the best I could do.
that's the best. Yeah, that's a fantastic one. And yes, it doesn't give it away. Sorry, but I was like, how? That was like
Right?
creepy house, family, and servants. Just that could be it. Yeah,
I know.
I'm. Yeah, I'm good at
I
that, but I definitely failed in this one.
it's torture. Well, no, your second one was good though. Your second one was, and it
Uh,
would have worked if it hadn't been like a movie where you kind of don't want spoilers. So,
yes.
did you know going
No.
in? You
No,
didn't know
actually,
anything going
no,
in?
I didn't know. I had a, I mean, I remember hearing about the movie or knowing that she was in this, but
Right.
since I've historically never been much for the horror genre, I definitely had a different idea of what that was going to be. Now, I'm
Yeah.
all about, I love psychological thrillers. I love like the suspense. I don't like the gore.
Hmm.
I do like a really good thinker, so I did not realize that this was going to be more of that than, just a bunch of creepy ghosts in the dark house just going to be popping out every 5 seconds and
Yes.
startling my nervous system. And so I never watched it.
Yeah, like
Um,
of the two, there's a movie, The Conjuring, that you
yeah,
go
absolutely
into
not.
it thinking it's going to be like this, and it's more like stuff jumping out at you and people
Yeah.
screaming, and I cannot. I'm just like,
I
no.
think if I
This
remember,
is more my speed.
because that one has Patrick Wilson. If I remember, I
Yes.
think maybe a date might have had me watching that one. I think it was that one, and I was just like, I can't
Yeah.
even. And obviously I wasn't with that guy that long, so
I was gonna
I
say that one didn't last long.
I'm like, I can't ugh.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No, 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 no. I mean, I've seen worse.
Right, right. And I
Or
do
I
love
should
horror
say I've
movies.
been
I will watch,
subjected to worse.
yeah, I will watch any horror movie. I don't care. But yeah, if I'm going to choose like a haunted house story, this is definitely more my speed. So let's take our first break and then we'll come back and we will talk about the cast. Welcome back. We are discussing the 2001 film The Others. Uh, let's get into this cast. I mean, really, it's Nicole Kidman's show. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she is in almost every single scene. I think there's like 2, maybe 3 that she's not in,
Mm-hmm.
and they're brief. And I
Yeah.
find that so impressive when an actor can just hold a
Mm-hmm.
movie like that.
No, yeah, no, absolutely.
This is one of my favorite performances that she's given. She said that she was so disturbed by her character that she had nightmares and actually quit during rehearsals. She was like, I cannot.
I
It's
yeah,
just too much.
I'd read that. I mean, after now seeing the film, I mean, there's, multiple layers to it, which again, I wasn't, expecting, but yeah, when I read that kind of quote, I don't know, I was like, really? I, I don't know, maybe I'm not trying to be flippant with it, but I just, I guess I didn't realize, even though it's kind of very subtle and like a slow burn and not all like up in your face, is still very like calm and collected
Hmm.
for the most part, that you, at least me, I wouldn't think that that would have so much of an emotional wear on her, but
I don't know. My question is
so
this
like
the
what
most
parts
tightly
about it?
wound character in the history of cinema? Because I feel like between her or Ingrid Bergman and Gaslight, like
Uh-huh.
they're kind of neck and neck
Yeah. No,
for
yeah, that's a
absolutely the
fantastic
most
comparison. Yeah.
like completely tightly wound,
Right. And you want
one
to know
second away from
what,
a nervous breakdown person.
yeah, and you
I
wonder like what happened to make you be like this, because obviously we see that she's on her own, and you do know like the era that she's, in. So 1945, so
yeah.
after, I believe she said World War II, yeah, had been over.
Yes.
Um so yes, you're kind of wondering, okay, well, what are you doing out here in this huge house, by yourself? And then, we come across like everything's dark, and then the children, and I'm like, is this a vampire movie?
I know. I
I'm
was
like, are your children vampires and the Dark Lord is out roaming, he ain't home or something? So I was
right.
wondering, I'm like, is this gonna have a Dracula angle to it?
Yeah,
Doesn't,
because
but
I didn't know. I just knew it was a haunted house movie the first time I
gotcha.
watched it. I couldn't wait to see it. But I had a baby, and
Mhm.
so I couldn't like just run off to the movie theater. I was a single mom, so I like
Yeah.
never went to the movies. So I had to wait for it to come out on DVD, but luckily like it never got spoiled.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But like the internet wasn't a
Huge.
thing
Yeah, I was gonna
then,
say
so
we were still kind of in
yeah.
the
And I
cusp
wasn't
of everything.
on it anyway. I was dealing with a baby. So
Right? You
luckily
had your hands full.
yeah, it wasn't spoiled or anything. And so when she says to the servants, I should probably introduce you to the children now. And she has them close all the curtains and then she lights the lamp
Yeah.
and they go upstairs and she leaves them in the hallway and she goes in to wake the kids up. And I'm like, are they gonna come out like there's something wrong with them? Are they monsters? Like, what's gonna be wrong
Right.
with these kids?
Yeah, yeah,
And then they're normal,
absolutely.
so you're like,
Or I was also
okay.
thinking, are you this some kind of a very strange form of abuse? Like what,
Yeah.
like keeping your kids hostage, like what is going, so there's all, right at the beginning, you're so not sure about what this woman is about.
Yes.
Um,
Um, and the
yeah.
kids, I think, are spectacular. And then, like, they never went on to do anything else.
Yeah, I looked it up on IMDb, so it just seemed, yeah, like this was just kind of their one thing. And then I did read that they had cast the son fairly quickly, but it took them a little bit while with the daughter because they wanted a child that could really match with Nicole Kidman. And I mean, I think she did a
Oh
very
my
good job with
God.
that. Um
Spectacular. Like, I mean, there are scenes where I remember I watched this with my mom. She and I cuddled up on the couch and turned out all the lights, and there were scenes where we were chuckling because, the fights that they have, we kind of looked at
yes.
each other like, I remember those days.
Yeah, I will say, like, man, this is, I'm getting a very familiar sensation tingling down.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the poor, the poor son, and he's, seems better trying to keep the peace and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there
Well,
are
and he's
times where,
so innocent and
yes,
sweet and still kind
definitely
of
more
a baby. He's
fragile.
only
Yeah,
like 7, I think. So, um,
yeah,
I thought he was just absolutely precious.
he's
And
adorable.
I
Yeah.
mean, everybody moves on and does what they're meant to do in life, but
Mm-hmm.
like, especially Alakina Man, who plays the daughter,
Yeah.
she was so good. I'm like, wow, I can't believe this was it, but
Right.
I'm glad that they found her for this movie for sure. Were you familiar with Fionnuala Flanagan?
Yes. Yes. I've seen her in a whole ton of stuff. I mean, she's been in a slew of movies,
Uh,
Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. I've
mhm.
seen her on, so I watch a lot of British television. So I've seen her on various shows with that. So actually, as she popped up, I was like, I know her. I'm like, cool. I was like, let's see what she's gonna, bring to this. Again, got that, mysterious surrounding them. But, it wasn't uncommon for people in that field, servants, stuff like that, could go around house to ask, and hey, if there's an, employment, available,
Well,
things like that.
especially
So
such a huge manor house. Like
yeah,
she said, when they used to work there, there was like 15 servants that she
Mm-hmm.
was in charge of. So, and
Yeah.
that's a pretty decent Downton Abbey sized staff, you know?
Yes. So it was, but it was also like, okay, why are they showing up? I'm like, okay, are these going to be the murderers?
Right?
You know, they're going to suddenly kill this poor woman and
And
her
like they're
two
talking about
kids.
how much
We're,
they love the house. I'm like, are they going to kill them and
right.
like they want the house for themselves? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? But I love that as an Irish person myself, I love that she was Irish because they're
Mm-hmm.
so um in touch with like superstition and
Mm-hmm.
mythology and
Oh yeah, the
you
luck
know the
and charms
supernatural
and
and
mm-hmm.
everything that I thought it fit perfectly that she would be a little mysterious and kind
Mm-hmm.
of in tune with things that Nicole Kidman like has no clue about.
Right. And she's definitely like, ma'am, like what are you going on about?
Yeah.
You know? Um,
Well, you know, I love that the character of Grace just you can tell she's not very intelligent. She's not very well educated. Like
mm-hmm.
women of that time, they were coming out of the system where you didn't have higher education. You were kind of raised by a governess that
Mm-hmm.
kind of more taught you about how you were going to raise that family and run a household and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, domestic things like that. Not even practical domestic because you had staff for that, you know?
Right.
And so she has this very narrow, rigid conception of religion and
Mm-hmm.
black and white and right and wrong. And I just think that the way Nicole Kidman plays her insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
especially when Anne challenges her,
Yes.
I think is really interesting. Um, we also have it's a very small cast, but we have my son's favorite Doctor Who, the
Doctor
Ninth
Who, yes.
Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, shows up as Grace's husband, who's been off in the war, and he comes home for a brief visit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and kind of, I feel like he very interestingly pushes the narrative forward without doing a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because he allows Anne to finally, we don't know, but she
Mm-hmm.
tells him what happened the
Right.
day, you know, Mummy went mad is all we hear her say, but he finds out what really happened.
Right.
Um, and tells Grace, you know, she apologizes to him and he's like, you need to apologize to the kids. You don't need to apologize to me.
Right.
Um,
Which is kind of weird when then you find out what it was that you did. I'm like, well, she kind of does need to, even though you
I don't
weren't
know
around.
because he's
But I
so
don't
outside
side.
of
Right. That's
like
yeah.
reality, you know. I thought it
Yeah.
was very interesting the way they played him because you can it reads as he's shell shocked. I thought the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And I thought he's just broken, you know, from being at war and
Right.
um but it also makes sense when you find out the reveal as well. Like,
Mm.
you know, one minute he's on the battleground, the next minute he's wandering through this fog and then he's home, but his
He
family
does.
shouldn't be here. Why are they here?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought he played all that just really well, and he's only in the movie for like 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. But it was definitely very impactful and you know, I mean his arrival is the point where I was like, okay, I have a feeling I know part of what it is. I just don't know how, you know, I
Did you
just
figure
quite
it
can't.
out before the big reveal? Because I didn't. I was like knocked on the floor
No,
when it
well,
happened.
I I guess I should have kind of because especially when, you know, she goes to leave the house saying she wants to get the priest or I was thinking it was a priest.
Yes.
Um
She wants him
and
to,
not a
they
pastor but
searched the
specific.
house for the intruders,
Yes.
and now she wants him to bless every room.
Right. So when she's going out there and then, you know, the servant, Mrs. Mills, you know, makes a comment, you know, well, she'll kind of figure it out. You know, she's not going to get far. And
Yeah.
then it just, the fog thickens and then it's like there's no, she can't see anything. She can't find her way out. And then all of a sudden the husband appears. I was like, okay, this is definitely feeling very much afterlife stuff. But for whatever reason, my brain didn't connect that, hey, that must mean that.
Yeah.
If he obviously died in the war, then that means she's dead, because then you're still kind of brain is focused on, yeah, but then why are all like the intruders, and then the daughter got possessed by the old lady, and you're thinking that, so I'm like, okay, this has got to be like they're totally isolated. You can't get anywhere. It's like, the movie Identity, where, everything is like trapped and you're in this one space, no matter, you think you're getting away, but no, you are stuck in this. And in that particular movie was in someone's mind.
Hmm.
Um, but so I knew something was completely up. I said, he's not alive, but she can see him, and so so
I
then
just
when the
thought it
reveal
was
happens, you're like, oh freaking dur. Oh my God, that was so well done. Yes,
I
I
thought it
did.
was going to be that that was her because Anne can see the intruders.
Yes.
Anne can see the others. So I thought, well, this is Grace has interacted with the others,
Mm-hmm.
but she hasn't seen them. And this will be her first step toward being able to see
To
them.
see them.
Um, but yeah, I had the reveal like knocked me on my tush.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
yeah,
what.
yeah.
Um, Speaking of the others, we only see them briefly in a couple
Hmm.
of scenes. Did you recognize Victor's mom?
I did. It was the Game of Thrones mom,
Yeah.
and Hermione Granger's mom. And for the Harry Potter fans, yeah. As soon as I saw her, I was like, "Oh, hey, yes." I was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry about your death in the
Right?
in the Game of Thrones."
Freaking Red Wedding.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, I remember not to try to get off tangent, but just funny because it reminds me of my mom. Like, she really got into that show, which
Hmm.
cracked me up because that's really not usually something she would get into, but she would go on and on and on about the Red Wedding. Like, I am so traumatized. I can't believe I can't even watch that one again. I'm just no. So, so for weeks on end, I had to hear about, her not being able to get over the Red Wedding. I said, well, not if you keep talking about it every day.
Right? You gotta put that down and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. I was
But
like,
yeah,
now let's
uh,
talk about Kit Harington's behind. Let's talk
right?
about that instead. But anyway, I digress.
That is a show for another time.
Hmm.
But I remember in yeah, of course, the first time I saw this, I didn't know her. I hadn't seen her in anything.
Hmm.
And you only see her, like I said, briefly. Well, then, of course, years later, post Game of Thrones, I'm watching the others
Hmm.
with my son, and we come to the scene with the seance, and you see her,
Hmm.
and he was like, Catelyn Stark, what?
It's so funny, yeah, when you allow enough time to go by and then all of a sudden it's like, I know you and I know you.
Right?
Because probably back in 2001, other than Nicole Kidman, I wouldn't have had any idea who, you know, no one else, in that movie
Yeah.
without
But I
having to
do
look them up.
love Michelle Fairley's character in this, Mrs. Marlish, because she is like the one person who, in the very little bit of time you see her, 100% makes sense. Like
Hmm.
she is like, okay, fuck this house. Like I'm
Right.
out. We are leaving in the
Yeah.
morning.
Hmm.
And her husband's like, well, but it's kind of interesting. And she's like, no, it's not. We're leaving. You can stay and play with the ghosts. Me and the kid are out of here.
She's the only voice of, yeah, reason and sanity probably throughout, and
Yes.
who has a clear idea of like, no, this is no.
Yeah. We're not doing
Absolute.
this.
And from that, you can definitely tell she is a very different woman from, yeah, Nicole Kidman's character of, different upbringing, things like that. Grace would have been, oh, whatever you want to do, honey, that's fine. I feel like she
Yeah.
would have been more of a,
Well, but I did get the feeling that because the others have been in the house for a while, like this goes on for probably a couple weeks, I think. I mean, time doesn't really pass the way you think it does.
right.
So who really knows? But it's definitely been a few days.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say it felt definitely like a short space.
yeah, but I think
Yeah,
that
time with that.
in that they're both highly protective of their children, I
Right.
think Michelle Fairley was like putting up with it, and yeah, it's kind of creepy, and okay,
Hmm.
well, we'll see, and yeah, we'll bring this,
Right.
medium in and whatever. And then when she found out like what happened to the family, and then they're
Hmm.
seeing ghosts on top of that. She's like, forget it. I'm done.
Right.
I'm out. We're not playing anymore.
Yeah. No, 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 no.
All right, let's move on and talk a little bit about the film's production. I don't have a whole lot. There really wasn't
I don't either.
a lot of information, but interestingly enough, the movie is set on the island of Jersey, which it's a weird area of the world because they don't really belong to England, but they're
Hmm.
like loyal to England, but they're like right next to France.
Hmm.
And they're just this island that's kind of their own thing. They've got their own government, you know.
Hmm.
Um, it's a very interesting place, but it's not filmed there. It's filmed in Spain,
Yes. Yeah.
which there is nothing Spanish about any of this. Like I was completely invested in this old manor house
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't have thought that that was a yeah again from maybe just so used to all the British television I watch and the period pieces that are usually taking place in England. That definitely looks like a standard. You know,
yeah,
I'm like, okay, Spain has these too.
right? They got their
I
own
did not
Pemberley going on over there.
yeah, I did not realize. Yes, Pemberley, you're
Um,
speaking my language.
I know, right? I know the Lake District. I know things. Uh, also, I did not realize until I have a DVD copy of this, and in the bonus features,
Hmm.
there is a whole little mini documentary about the disease that the children have. It's actually a real thing. It's called Xeoderma pigmentosum. It's very rare. Only about 1,000 people in the world have it, and it is a
Yes,
very severe allergy to sunlight, to any really powerful light.
which is just
Um,
so crazy. Yeah, because in
yeah, and you know the idea that um, you know, a little some of this you got to watch this movie more than once for sure.
hmm
Um, but you kind of miss some of the details of their illness in the film because you're distracted by other things. But Nicole Kidman says at one point, like if they went out in the sun, they would break out in hives and
I
blisters and then eventually stop breathing.
breathing. Yeah, but it's just
Um, which, you know, like the
and
skin
like
effects, like you could probably manage, you know, but
anaphylaxis shock. Yeah, that's a
yeah, like not
it's
breathing
very
is.
dangerous. Yes,
And can
yes.
you imagine like you have a baby and you take it outside like for a
Oh
walk or
gosh.
something and
Yeah.
you know this horrible reaction? Like I love how the movie makes you so empathetic to Grace.
Hmm.
You just can't imagine the strain and the pressure of you know having a child with medical
Yeah.
complications. I was blessed to have a healthy child, but you know to have a child with a complex medical condition is one thing.
And then they're
To have
both of
it,
them.
yeah, both of them,
Yeah.
and it makes you trapped in this house.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the island is occupied because it's a war. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, you got Nazis all over the place. So,
And having to keep track of doors locked, doors closed, and where the lighting thing, that would make
yeah.
anybody a nervous, wreck of how you've and the whole even like watching her when she's as, one kid is in one room and it seemed like it's down the hall or on another floor and then she's got to run back I'm like, oh my God, and then she's got all these freaking keys dangling. I'm like, that alone was just making my anxieties shoot
Yes.
up, let alone being in charge of this. So yes, you do feel for her that she's got to go through all these little steps and then just one mishap or you forget to fully shut a door all the way and then your kid can't breathe. I mean,
Yeah.
that would make you not want to breathe either, or make it difficult to breathe. They're just trying to stay on top of all those little things and their movements at every time. And then, like you said, having
Well,
to be
and
in darkness and isolated and no fresh
she,
air. No, I mean, good
yeah.
grief. Yeah.
She mentioned, and I had kind of missed this, I think, in previous watchings, and I've seen this movie a lot, but she says that her family left right before the occupation. So
Yes, I
her
did.
family
Yeah.
left. The occupation occurred in June of 1940.
Okay.
So her family left before that. And then she's been there for 5 years
So making her
on
kids,
her
what about
own
like maybe
with these
two and
kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
two
And
and
so the
four
thought
or five,
that
yeah.
like it's just her and the servants in this house. She doesn't have any support. She has no
Mm-hmm.
family, very little in the way of community support because everybody's on
Mm-hmm.
lockdown because they've been
Right.
invaded. And then her husband leaves and goes off to fight.
Right.
Um, it's what she does in this moment of panic is so horrific
Mm-hmm.
that my knee-jerk reaction, if I had just heard that, I would be like, well, to hell with her. Like, screw this
Right.
bitch. She's horrible. But I love the way the movie really builds that anxiety and shows you kind of
Mm-hmm.
what she has had to live with, which doesn't excuse what she did, but it at least makes you empathetic to her and makes you understand she really does love her children.
Yes. Yeah. And you can, yeah, I mean, at any part, even when you do find out what had happened, that definitely there was no doubt about that. But also, making you think, I mean, even, in today versus, back in the 40s and even before that, if just the lack of understanding as far as, mental health and mental wellness and so, and that kind of support and the stress, that a mother can go through. And then at their most darkest and, they fully, go in, like you said, a panic, or they just completely emotionally crash and they completely lose all, just completely disconnected and detached from their own life and everything, that they are capable of, doing something so horrific
Well, and it's
um,
so awful, it's
and that
a
it had to get to that
spur of the
point.
moment,
Yeah.
like panic induced
Yeah.
snap, and then to like come out of this
Yeah.
state and realize, what she did. I
Oh my
just,
God. Yeah.
your heart just breaks for her.
Yeah.
Now you had mentioned getting back to the production. You're not a big horror movie person. Have you
Mm-mm.
seen the 1980 film The Changeling with George C. Scott?
No.
Okay, well, it'll scare the pants off you. I cannot watch it at night. I will only watch it during the day. But if you like this movie, you'll really like that one.
Okay.
But and this movie has I think it's interesting that both Alejandro Amenabar and Guillermo del Toro both love this movie, and Guillermo del Toro has put homages to that film in his
Okay.
films, specifically Crimson Peak.
Hmm.
Um,
Which I
but
have
in
seen that one. Yeah.
but in this one, there are several nods to that movie as well. The most obvious one being that the gardener, Mr. Tuttle, is that's also the name of the caretaker of the house that George C. Scott lives
Okay.
um, in The Changeling. So the minute she introduced him, I was like, "What the heck?"
Oh, it's nice when when they incorporate little shout outs like that to things that have inspired them and
Well, and
in
when they,
in their work.
The Changeling is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant movie. So when you see, filmmakers, I love it when, if they say they admire Hitchcock or,
Hmm.
David Lean or somebody, I'm like, aha, see, this person has done their research
Hmm.
and they are smart and they're not afraid to, steal from the masters.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's what's that phrase? Uh, at this part, I know the one part of it. What is the first one? The imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yes.
I mean, not necessarily stealing, but taking, hey, this was a master way of doing this, and then kind of using it and putting your own, little twist on that. I mean, that's what the greats are all about, that legacy and incorporating that, and then keeping that alive. So, I mean, to me, I think it's a compliment and a nice way of, like I said, shouting out to those who came, for you and inspired you. And if it hadn't been for them, maybe you wouldn't be, doing this. And then what if your work then goes on and inspires someone else here? So it just, keeps, going on and on and on. So I think that's what being creative and artistic is, a huge part of that,
Yeah, absolutely.
sharing your
Was there
gifts with the
anything
world.
else about the production that you found that I didn't? Because, like I
I
said, there's
didn't,
not a lot.
I, I I found this one little trivia bit, which I just find funny, just because this movie was released the same week that her divorce from Tom Cruise was finalized.
Yes.
And it made me think of the picture of her coming out on the courthouse
Oh my
steps
gosh, that's
when
the
she was in
best
the
photograph
sun,
ever.
and like
Yes.
just you could see like the relief, and I don't, that's just
Yeah.
what it made me think of that. So when I saw that little trivia point, I was like, oh, I'll incorporate this if it comes up.
All right, well, let's take a break and then we'll move on to the specific scene that we liked. All right, welcome back as we discuss Alejandro Amenabar's 2001 film The Others, starring Nicole Kidman. Um, Instead of choosing the pivotal moment this season, it can be the pivotal moment, but we're choosing, um, kind of our favorite scene. Did we choose it for the cinematography, for a strong performance? The direction, was it the pivotal moment? Some films like The Da Vinci Code or Moulin Rouge, for me, it was the one scene that didn't piss me off. But fortunately, this film, I love every frame. So it was more finding a scene, just narrowing it down to one.
No.
But Angela, what scene did you choose and why did you choose it?
I chose the scene where Nicole Kidman gets lost in the fog. And because I think it was at that moment where something kind of clicked in with me. I was like, okay, there nothing is as what it seems. I was like, I may not be able to explain it, but there's something very different about this family and where they're at and the servants, everything. And then when she meets her husband, it was, obviously very emotional, and you could really feel like, she did a beautiful job of conveying like, what are you doing here? I thought you died, fighting, and then he seems so lost, and you're not sure exactly what's going on because you are just automatically assuming that he is being the way he is because he just came from the front lines, of a war,
Yeah.
and everything. And so that meeting and everything, and then the return home, I picked that one just because of the emotional connection, I think, and then just that was like, oh, for me was something is very strange, and it is like it's supernatural in afterlife because I don't believe that he really is alive, but I at that point still believe that she was alive. But I'm like,
Yes.
I couldn't figure it out. So that's when, because I will admit, starting to watch this movie, I was afraid I was going to be bored because it is a slow burn. So I will
Hmm.
warn that those who watch it, that it is a slow burn, and even some you're like, okay, this is starting to get maybe slightly tedious, but then I understand, that's the building part of, suspense. And then once you start getting really into it, what all is going on, you're like, oh, so it's got a very satisfying reveal and everything. So it is worth it. So hang in there, because I almost was like, why? I'm like, what? Why am I being watched this? And I was like, okay, I'm glad I watched it.
Oh,
Um,
good. I'm glad.
so being a newbie in that scene, that's why I picked that one.
Um, so for me, I love the cinematography in this film,
Hmm.
and it was between two different scenes. Um, the first one that I didn't choose, like they're kind of similar, um, is the scene after the one I did pick, where Grace is she goes into the junk room because she thinks that Lydia is in there cleaning and stomping around and making a bunch of
Yes.
noise. And then sees that Lydia is outside
Sorry.
and she sees all the servants are outside. There's
Hmm.
nobody up there. So she goes to investigate. And I love the play on all of these pieces of furniture covered in, drop cloths,
Hmm.
like dust covers. So it's a play on ghosts in
Ghosts.
sheets.
Hmm.
And so I love that scene. But before that, you get this teeny tiny little moment. Um, Anne has told Grace that, there's a boy that she's seen
Hmm.
and his name is Victor, and Grace doesn't believe her.
Hmm.
Well, then that night, she and Nicholas interact with Victor in their bedroom, and Nicholas gets scared
Hmm.
out of his wits. And Grace is furious because she thinks Anne's just messing with him because she's
Hmm.
kind of a bratty older sister. So Anne is being punished and she's made to sit on the stairs and read the Bible. And so there's a scene where she's sitting on the stairs with just this one shaft of candlelight illuminating her. And Mrs. Mills walks down the hall carrying a tea tray, and she looks up at Anne on the stairs. And that moment, I just love that shot because to me, that's if you were living in this house and you got up in the middle of the night to go get a glass of water from the kitchen, that's the ghost you would see. You
Mm-hmm.
would see, and I could see myself saying to Liam the next day, like, you will not believe what's happened. I was walking down the hall and I looked up and I saw this girl sitting on the steps, and I could see Liam looking at me going, oh yeah, the girl on the stairs, she's there all the time. You know? And that to me is just like such a haunted house, like ghost
Mm-hmm.
moment. And once you know the reveal that they are the ghosts, um, I just think it's perfect. I just love it.
Well, doing all the lighting, especially with the, being dark and how well, like I could still see things on my TV because you always worry about, with
Oh my
playing
gosh,
with the
yes.
lighting.
Speaking of like Game of
But
Thrones where you couldn't see
yeah,
freaking nothing, and it
right.
was so frustrating to me.
Yeah. So
I
with
looked
this, I thought
this
that was very well done that
Yeah,
I could
because
still,
I mean, I don't know how they lit it. I know at some
yeah.
scenes they did use candlelight,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of it is it's either kind of the diffused daylight. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really sunlight because it's a foggy, but the diffused daylight coming in the windows or these candles, these, lanterns in the
Mm-hmm.
fireplace. Um, but yeah, they still make it so that you're able to see, which is fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about the numbers. Um, the budget was 17 million. It grossed 210 million
I saw
dollars.
that. I was like,
Well,
dang.
I mean, I remember it being huge, but I didn't know it was like that huge.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was like, oh wow, oh well, good for them.
Right?
'Cause I had yeah, I had no frame of reference or yeah, nothing that, and I don't know if I read that wrong, but that it's still like the highest grossing Spanish made movie by a director. I could be I didn't copy and
Well,
paste
and
the
I
thing that
also
I found,
saw
but it's still up
something
there.
similar that was like it's also one of the highest grossing horror films, and I think that's like a
Maybe
budget to
that's what I
gross
maybe that's
ratio.
what I had read, yeah.
Um, but yeah, now you mentioned it was released August 10th, 2001, um, when Nicole Kidman was finally freed from
I'm
the
free,
cult.
I'm free.
Um,
Yeah.
and but it only
Uh,
ranked fourth at the box office. It was behind, it had some heavy competition. It had American Pie 2, Rush Hour 2, and The Princess Diaries.
oh yeah, that's yeah.
So, I mean, that's, a pretty big challenge. But then in subsequent weeks, it bumped up to number two. So, um,
But I think being in that genre, again, don't really, I'm not in the horror genre, but I don't know if it's typically kind of difficult for those type of movies to get to number one unless you know like what the Scream franchise. I don't know, is that still hitting? I
yeah,
hate
I
saying the
mean, I
fact
think
that I was a
it's
kid when that first one came out. Jesus.
right.
Um,
I think it's one of those things. It's kind of like
or
like
just
the
depends.
comic book movies. Like if you've got
Right.
big names and big stars and a big director, they'll open big. But this
Hmm.
is, this Spanish director that not a lot of
Right.
people knew, and Nicole Kidman is a star, but like she wasn't the hugest star back then.
No, and then also, kind of having her in that particular kind of being any
And
good.
I also feel like,
Maybe that's why I didn't watch it. I don't, other than like the horror
mhm.
thing. I was like,
But I also feel like this one did not have, I think it built the word
hmm.
of mouth that like The Sixth Sense had.
Yes,
But
it's
The Sixth
definitely
Sense, like the minute it came out, everybody lost their damn minds and was like, you have
uh-huh.
to see this movie,
Oh yeah,
you
and then
know?
and you're like, oh my God, and you're like, oh my God, this guy was dead and he still showed up to work. Oh, what the hell? Oh, like ah,
That's why they gave him the expensive frame because he was so
yeah.
dedicated. Um,
Ah.
this film does have an 84% fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes and was the winner of 8 Goya Awards, which that's the Spanish Oscar.
Mhm.
And it was the first film to win the Goya Award for Best Picture without a single word of Spanish being spoken. Do you have anything for us?
I was just because I know we had mentioned a couple of things about him, but that made me think of I know this particular film won a bunch of Goya awards, but the director, he won an Academy Award for a Best Foreign Language Film in 2004 starring Javier Bardem called The Sea Inside. So I just
Yeah,
thought that
that
was
that
interesting that I had
movie
never seen
is
it, but
devastating. I mean, it's really
I mean
good, but
I
it's
read the synopsis
devastating.
and it does sound, yes, so that would definitely be a
Yeah, that was
hard
the first time I saw
emotional one.
Javier Bardem in anything, and it was really
Okay.
hard to watch him in anything else after. Like it
Okay.
took a while for me to like build some momentum with him because all I saw was that movie every time I looked
Mm-hmm.
at his face,
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very powerful. All right, let's take one last break and then we'll come back and wrap things up. All right, Angela, written by, directed by, or starring, which, I mean, I think his projects are kind of all underrated for us because they're foreign language. But
hmm
which underrated project would you suggest by this director? Have you seen anything else that he did?
That was the problem. I haven't watched anything else he's done, not even Vanilla Sky, because while I love Tom Cruise and like Mission Impossible movies, I really watch him in anything else. And
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz. I know
Oh
you,
God.
yeah.
Oh no.
I figured that would.
No, no. That bitch ruined Gangs of New York and I will never forgive her and I will
That
never
was,
recover.
oh, that was, I
Like,
remember going to the theater with my mom and her friend, and she actually had to step out because of how graphic and violent, and that was a hard watch. I remember like, I don't know if I could sit there. And meanwhile her friend just like, yeah, this is awesome. I mean, it was a guy friend, so I, but
right.
sorry, it just, you brought that up and it made me
Yes.
and also reminded me that yes, she in fact was in it. Maybe I was trying to block that out,
Oh,
but yeah,
yes.
you're right, she was
Block
in
that
it.
horror from your mind.
That, yeah, now you mean, God, yeah.
Oh, it was so bad.
Um,
I mean, I love Martin Scorsese, but holy crap. Like,
some stuff, yeah. I mean, like I said, I can watch some stuff, but that one was very that was a brutal watch.
yeah.
I haven't seen anything. However, when I look through, he does have a movie called Agora, which I sounds interesting. One, I love Rachel Weisz, but apparently she plays description here, mathematician, philosopher, and astronomer in the late century Roman Egypt to a model that challenges it. So I would be interested in watching that. I'm sorry I can't say that I have because I literally have not watched anything else this guy has done.
Yeah. And I
But
kind of
that one
remember
does
when
intrigue me.
Agora came out
Yeah.
and seeing a trailer for it and being um intrigued, but then like it's sometimes it's hard to find this stuff.
Yeah, I was trying like, hey, how could you, yeah, watch this? So
Yeah.
yeah. So if it ever
Um,
comes across my path or I, have a chance, I will check that one out.
well, for
Let
me,
let us know if you have.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, but for me, I saw the sea inside, and while I will say, like, if you're a cinephile and you want to watch something brilliant, like, go ahead, but it's not a movie I recommend to people because it's just so devastating.
Right.
Um, but I was lucky enough to see Abre los Ojos from 1997 before the dumpster fire of Vanilla Sky came out. So I was able to see the original, and it is so good. It
Okay.
is amazing. And so if you've seen Vanilla Sky, I'm sorry, but just erase it from your memory. And Abre los Ojos is streaming on HBO Max. So head on over there and watch it. It is a trippy, trippy good time. Like it is so good. I love it. So that's the one. If I'm not recommending the others, that's the one I'm recommending.
What kind of genre would you pop that one in? Or
Uh,
mix of
like mystery, romance, psychological thriller,
Okay.
and then
Checking all my
time
boxes.
times like, huh? Because you'll spend a lot of time doing
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's a trippy ride, but it's like really good.
Huh. I did see that he seemed to have worked with Penelope Cruz quite a bit.
Yes, she's
on
like
a
kind
few
of like
different
his
things, and I know she was also in the
muse.
Vanilla Sky, but yeah.
Yeah, she is
Who then
so good.
ironically
And
is married to Javier Bardem.
yes, it's interesting that she's so good in Open Your Eyes, but it shows you how bad Vanilla Sky is because she's in this Vanilla Sky playing the same character and she sucks in that movie. Like everything about that movie sucks.
We'll just
So,
blame Tom and Cameron Diaz.
right? Like
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz just dragged them all down to her level, apparently. I don't know. Jeff's gonna
uh,
shit when he hears us. He's probably
yeah.
like, but she's beautiful. And I'm like, eh. I think she looks like a frog, so I can't even go there.
Uh,
All right, focus. Back on topic. Do we recommend seeing this film? What do you think? You said you enjoyed it. Like, will you ever
it
watch it again? Was it like, yeah, I watched it and I'm good, or is this like, ooh, I'll watch this at Halloween or something?
Yeah, maybe for that. Like I said earlier, it is a slow burn. It did have the way it kind of started and kept kind of going through. I was afraid. I was like, oh God, I'm gonna be so bored, and I'm gonna not be so interesting while I'm trying to talk with this
See, I
to
am
Amber.
so invested in the
And
house porn of this movie. Like, I love this house so
yeah.
much. And I love houses with like where they've got all the doors with the different keys. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, I don't even notice that it's slow in the beginning because I'm just like, ooh, I like that
Gotcha.
lamp.
Yeah, no, I mean yeah, it did have, I'm like, I want to see the gardens. Do you have a
Yes.
fountain? That kind of stuff. But so yeah, so I mean it's got that slow burn, but if you just keep with it, pay attention, and just take it as it is a very well earned like reveal where you're just gonna be like, oh, I feel so dumb right now. At least, especially after the fog, I was like, something is not adding up. I know he's got to be dead, but I'm not convinced. She's still. How is this adding up? And then when it comes up, you're like, oh my god, it was yeah. So it was very well done, and I liked the different. They didn't give itself away because a lot of things what they would say that you would think would be clues also could be something else that you knew had happened or had been done. So there's a lot of, yeah, distractors. You're like, so hang in there. You'll enjoy the reveal, and it'll wind up being pretty darn good because I was not expecting it to be as good as it was or it.
Yeah, so mine is, of course, 100%. I recommend this movie. 100, 100, 100%. What I love about it is, you have this like kind of spectrum for me where you have the Changeling that I swear to God, like after I watched this movie, I thought, ooh, I'm gonna watch the Changeling again. Well, it was like 8 o'clock, and I was like, not gonna
mm,
watch it now though.
I
I'm
need
gonna
to
watch
get to
it
bed.
tomorrow
Yeah.
during the daytime. Um, so there's that end of the spectrum,
Hmm.
completely terrifying. Then there's like this one in the middle, which is just atmospheric and character
Hmm.
driven, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like Hollywood super blockbuster What Lies Beneath. That I love that movie so much. I watch it
That's a very good
a
one. Actually, yeah, it
gajillion
was.
times.
I saw that,
Um,
and I only saw like a clip of it, and I was like, oh man, good one to rewatch. I didn't have time.
yeah.
But yes, that's very,
So
very
you have
good.
like this trifecta of like similar but
Hmm.
completely different styles of film. And the thing that I love about this one is the rewatch value is so great because it's visually interesting. And, once you know the reveal, it's
Hmm.
still entertaining because you see all these little clues that you
Hmm.
missed along the way and all of the little pieces of storytelling that help you understand and build what happened to lead her to
Hmm.
that event. Um, and so everything about it, I just completely adore. And I rewatch it, every autumn for sure.
And what I did also like too, there was like only maybe one spot that I really jumped out at, and that was when she kept hearing someone playing the piano. And then, she'd go in there and was messing with the door, like seeing was it gonna latch or whatever. And
Yes.
then that knocked her. That one made me jump. But so I did like it that it wasn't. they didn't do an overkill with that, and it wasn't just
Yes.
about startling. Like it was,
Yeah, there's really only one true jump scare
yeah.
in the movie, and it's the opening scene. And it's like Alejandro launches you
Hmm.
with that moment, and that to get you like on the wrong foot so that you're never really comfortable or relaxed the
Yeah.
whole rest of the time. But then he never like
Mhm.
sells out and does it again.
Yeah. I will say, yeah, you definitely you are feeling like and feel that high strung, that anxiety is going through with Grace and going on. I said, well, if a jump scare isn't going to get me, the anxiety of this will.
Yes.
So I'm like, I fell for her. Yeah, I felt for her very, very much, um, with that. So kudos that you could, you know, creep me out, scare me out without having to make me
Yeah.
pee my pants.
Yeah. Well, or
Or
it
gross
doesn't
me
have
out. Or gross
yeah,
me
it doesn't
out.
have to
That's
be
yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
There's,
Cause
like
ugh, yeah.
we don't have to see, what happens to the kids. We know,
Right.
like, you don't need to watch.
No.
So yeah, very, very classily done. All right, next time on A Film By, uh, Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman Month continues with our top 10 Meryl Streep films. Um, I've also got Jeff watching the Meryl Streep film A Prairie Home Companion, and we'll be discussing that. So get your lists of Meryl Streep performances ready, and I'm sure it'll probably be a friendly argument, but a passionate argument nonetheless. Um, Visit us at www.afilmbypodcast.com to let us know your top 10 Meryl Streep films and what you thought of the others. Did you see the twist coming or were you surprised? You can also email us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. If we use your, if you give us a 5-word synopsis for one of our upcoming films and we use it on the show, we'll give you a shout out and you may just get some A Film By swag. Please also join the fun on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We love interacting with you, sharing opinions, and taking your requests for future episodes. And for all of you listening to the show and following us on social media and also subscribing to our Patreon, we thank you.